Hey, everybody. This is another week of Three Lefts Don't Make a Right. You know, we had Shag, we had Shorty. Now we've got Joe and Amanda coming on tonight. The last one we got is Mike. So we're going to get Mike eventually, too, because that's just how we do. You know, Mike's the guy who wears the bandana. That guy, he's not allowed to talk for some strange reason. I really don't know why, but we're going to ask the tough questions like, how come Mike doesn't talk? That's what we're going to do. So they do a little show called Iron Resurrection. It's, you know, part of the Disco Network on Motor Trend. That's where they're at. That's where they've been. I think they, I want to say they finished up season 6. So they've been doing this a while. So that's where we are. And they also did Biker Build Off about 20 years ago. I know that's like the way back machine, and John really wants to talk about that. So we're going to go to a commercial, going to bring in John, then we're going to bring in Joe and Amanda Martin. Be right back.
Ever wonder what happened to your favorite Hollywood stars? Some are screen legends. Some made history.
What do you say? Is it the new Bluesmobile or what?
One thing's for sure, they all have more to tell. Road trip with me, Lou Santiago, as I hunt down these iconic cars.
The car's actually stolen. My kids said, Dad, you're not going to believe what's over here.
And take you behind the scenes to get the story behind the story.
I'm gonna have the car do the same thing. Pow, bang, wow.
From the designers who built them, the stars that drove them, and the lucky motherfuckers who stumbled across them. Where was his car when you found it? Pull in there, pull in there. Dude, tell me you have your hands on it. You're not gonna believe some of this stuff.
Hey, yo, John. Hey, John. John, you're all blurry. What's going on there? You drunk
Am
again?
I blurry?
You're blurry. Are you drunk again? Have you been drinking?
No, I haven't been drinking. I
think you better get hot. Maybe you'll come into focus. I think, you know.
I was thinking of drinking, but I went, hey, whatever.
You was thinking of drinking.
I had red wine last week. Man, that red wine messes me up big time.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of wine.
It knocks me out. Really knocks me out.
Not a fan. Not a fan at all. It's just
but yeah, in the intro about Mike, yeah, we definitely got to get Mike on, and we got to get Jason. He put the bro in Martin Brothers.
Yeah, we need to get Jason too. Yeah.
Yeah, and from what I understand, Jason was key at getting the show back up.
That's
we had
Shag.
Shag was on. We had Shorty. Shorty told a cool story about coming to America. I mean, he was going on and on. Everybody thought Shorty was the quiet guy, but he was talking and talking on that podcast.
We need to get a hold of Shorty. I heard word that they're gonna like close to shooting a show with him. I don't know about that. I'm just telling you, I heard that like it's a go, but I don't know. That's all I know. I'm gonna call him. I'll call him tomorrow.
Yeah, we were going back and forth with text, and I told him I was going to ask Joe about doing the mural on Shorty's truck. Remember Shorty explaining that he had some what was it, Godzilla? What was on his truck?
Yeah, something crazy like that. Yeah, it was something.
It's like a giant robot or something, and he was bugging and bugging
something
Joe
wacky.
to do airbrush work. Finally, Joe cracks it. Okay, I'll do it. And then Shorty found a truck in like South Carolina or some shit. Wanted to buy it back.
All I gotta say is that if it's not Godzilla, I'm gonna build something and I'm gonna take it down to Joe and have him airbrush Godzilla. You know.
He did explain it on a podcast. We'd have to.
But wait a minute, I gotta say it right. Godzilla. I gotta say it right.
Well, we only have Joe and Amanda until 9. Joe's got to run.
All right, well then let's get him on. Let's just get him on. We don't need. I don't need to talk to you anymore.
Nobody came on to see me. They want to see Joe.
No one came on to see. You're all fuzzy. Don't worry about it. You're good.
Am I still fuzzy?
You're still fuzzy. You're still.
Maybe that's a good thing. Get it
together, John. Get it together.
Maybe that's a good thing.
All right, so Brad, take us to a commercial, and when we come back, we're going to have Joe and Amanda because we're on a time crunch.
It sounded too good to be true. A dealership that's been in business over 65 years. Terrific deals and thousands of repeat customers. You know what I love about this dealership?
What's that?
It's a big building where they sell cars, but that's not important right now. I love their 5-star customer reviews. See why more people are uncovering great deals at KennedyAuto.com. John Kennedy Ford. Enjoy your ride.
Hey.
There they are.
What's happening?
Stop whispering nothings into Joe's ears. Okay? I saw that, Amanda.
Okay, I'm busted.
Who's jealous? Who's jealous? Ain't nobody whispering in his ear.
This is a family program. We can't,
Oh, man.
we can't, yeah,
That's why I
No, not
said
really.
stop it. Someone's got to be responsible.
that's right.
So, Joe, Amanda, how you guys doing?
Man, we're doing great.
Really great.
Doing great.
Outstanding. So here's the deal. We're gonna go hard and fast because we know your mom's in town and we know you got to spend time with mom because mom's cool.
Well, we got
never met her, but she's mom. So we got
a dinner date with mom, and mom she doesn't stay up late. So it's like, oh, I got to be in bed by this certain amount of time. So I was like, oh shit, we got a podcast.
Yeah, so we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna move fast. So the first thing I want to ask Amanda. I don't want to talk to you right now, Joe. It's not that I don't like you, but I want to talk to Amanda about the SoCal Pitbull thing. What's the deal with that, Amanda? There it is.
Yes, there it is. Oh my gosh. So the Southern California Pitbull Rescue is a nonprofit in Southern California, and they're a nonprofit, and he's like, I'll be right back. I'm getting a drink.
Can't believe
he's going to start drinking before dinner with mom. The owner, they're a mom and pop like Joe and I are. So it's a husband and wife, and he's a retired. He brought a special guest.
It's all about this.
There you go.
Yeah, that dog's got a big head.
It's all about pit bulls. You're asking about Southern California Pit Bull Rescue. So we actually have 3 pit bulls, and we have 4 dogs total. But Mark is a retired police officer, and he reached out to me and just said, hey, I'm going to send you some swag, and this is what we do. Well, I ended up talking to him for 2 hours, I think, on the phone. And so it's him and his wife. They work out of their house. They don't have a facility. They do what they can with the funds they have and the means they have. And they're doing a lot of big things. I mean, they are literally, I think he told me the other day, they just placed 7 dogs in the last 2 weeks. They placed them permanently from foster to adoption. Wow. And he said that they've never done that many. Now that doesn't sound like a lot because, this is happening every day with a lot of big places. But the reason I like him is because, I connected with him immediately. Number 2, it's pit bulls. I mean, we love pit bulls. And number 3, I mean, we have a mom and pop thing going on. I mean, we're a small business. And so we really want to support that.
Yeah. I get it. My son's got a pit bull named Athena.
Athena.
Yeah. And it's the funniest dog because she does like this low crawl thing. She lays out.
Belly crawl. The
belly crawl. And my son has a Harper's 16 months old. She's a baby. And Harper just hangs all over that dog. And the dog is just the most docile thing ever. But I'm telling you, I really think if something would have happened to Harper, that dog would kill somebody. You can tell that dog is keeping an eye on that baby.
I have a funny story about our oldest pit bull, and think both of you will get a little giggle out of this. So we have one of our pit bulls. Her name's Hazel, and we don't know how old exactly, 13, 14. I don't know. Had her for a long time, and so about 4 or 5 years ago, we were at the shop. Hazel was there, and we had a customer, and we were building a truck for him, and he was standing there telling me a story. He lived in Virginia, and he had 2 pit bulls. So he's standing there telling me a story in front of me. I'm sitting in a chair that's a little bit low to the ground, and Hazel is sitting right next to me. And so this person is very animated and telling a story, and he's telling us about how his 2 pit bulls treed a bear. And he's telling me about this story, and he kind of went like this, just like excited in the story. And Hazel thought he was lunging for me. And and I'm not kidding when I say this, in a matter of probably, I mean, when I say a split second, I'm talking literal split second. She had come from sit position, bit him in the balls, went back to sit position. And if I blinked and I hardly saw it and looked at her, and she was just sitting there like, what?
Like a ninja.
No big deal.
She went straight up ninja.
Put a Rambo. Put a Rambo on the guy.
No more kids for you.
I know. He was pretty cool. He was like, "Oh yeah, no big deal." He kept telling the story. She's just doing her job, you know, blah blah blah. And then we see him at SEMA. I don't know, a couple of months later, and he's like, "Man, I gotta tell you, I got
Still got
my
teeth
balls
marks.
bruised. My balls were a little bruised." Anyways, we all had a good laugh, but it was
a little too much.
It is. It's
Wow.
So I never thought she would do it, but she.
Needless to say, he was a good sport about it.
Yeah, he was a really good sport.
Yeah.
Like,
No
man,
kidding, he was a really good sport about it.
Yeah. I was like, man, I'm so sorry.
That truck could have been for free.
Oh, yeah. Oh man.
Funny stuff.
So how'd you guys meet? How'd you guys hook up?
Oh man, so Joe and I, we actually went to the same high school, but he's a little bit older than me, so we never crossed paths in school. And I was at a party. Oh gosh, I was 23 years old and 97 or so. And anyways, I guess I just aged myself. But so I saw him. I saw him, and I was like, "Oh man, that guy's pretty hot," you know. And it turned out he was in a relationship.
Let's make it uncomfortable.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right. We'll keep making her uncomfortable. We're gonna keep going.
Anyways, we were both dating other people. It just never was the right timing. And like fast forward, 20 years and something like that.
There you go, aging again.
Stop it.
Oh boy. we're talking 2035 at this point.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Time machine and shit.
it was the right time.
It all worked out.
Yeah, it's all that matters. It worked out. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Jeez. So you guys met. You were in the banking world. That's what John said. John said that you're in the banking world.
Mm-hmm.
So you meet Joe, and you all of a sudden turn up in the motorcycle world. Essentially, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was young, I was having fun. We all were, and it was good times. I mean, I was just kind of living vicariously through Joe and Jason. Really, my brother was working for him, and so it was kind of like one big happy family. And I was actually there when they got the World Biker Build-Off in Daytona. There was a lot of friends there. There was a big group of us there, so I'm really kind of glad that I got to see them go through that and see them grow and really kind of experience it kind of from a distance, but on the inside circle. So it's really neat to watch.
She kind of got to see all my bullshit ways before she hooked up with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just gonna say she did her research. That's what she did, Joe. She did her research.
Right.
Yeah. I was gonna. Don't worry, I got you. Yeah.
Joe, how many biker build-off shows did you do? Was it 3 or 4? There was a few. Was there not?
I guess. I guess there was 4 total. There was a couple where all the builders from one season, we got together and we built a bike, and we ended up giving it to Hugh King, who was the producer of that deal at the time, of that series. And I don't know, 4 or 5. And then we did, 3, 4, something, 4 or 5. I can't remember.
How'd that come about?
It was definitely a good gig, man. I was very fortunate to, be a part of that deal.
That was like 2002 or so when it all started.
Yeah, it started in like 03 or 04, and we did, I don't know, 2 or 3 seasons of that. So it kind of lasted a few years, and something like that, somewhere in that time.
Well, yeah, I mean, in 2004, you were in it. I mean, you were at the height of it in 2004. I think that was probably like around the World Biker Build-Off. So you would have already been in, whatever led up to that.
What was business like before that? What were you doing like 95, 2000? What was Joe?
Well, it was actually I guess mid 90s, 94, 95. I had a couple of brothers that were friends of mine, and they bought old Ironhead Sportster, and another one had a Shovelhead, a Wide Glide or something. And Preston and Pat Atkins, a couple of friends of mine, they bought these Harleys that came to my house, and I was doing a lot of paint work, airbrush work, that sort of thing, and doing race cars, dirt cars, all that kind of stuff, lettering before all the vinyl stuff was, in play now. But anyway, they brought their bikes over. Hey, we want you to paint our bikes. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And so he brought them over and we tore them down there in the shop. And so we painted them. But then I was kind of looking at them. I was like, you know, we got to change this up a little bit. And we just did these little minor things. And they were all into the to the Harley. They'd go to the dinner rides, the dealership functions and all that stuff. And I mean, within a week, I'm getting all these calls, you know, people want to do these bikes. And it just was like, damn, you know, kind of onto something here. And I can work on this car. I can work on this bike. You know, the people with cars, they're keeping me busy, but, you know, they were wanting to pinch their pennies, man, because they'd rather have a set of $2,000 set of heads on their car.
Yeah.
But the motorcycle people didn't care what the cost was. And so, I mean, it was just like, damn, this is.
But then the Easy Rider show. This
scene's really good, man. And so all of a sudden I'm painting motorcycles and doing these little modifications. And then I bought a frame on my own and just kind of tweaked it and built a tank and everything. And I took it to the local Easy Rider show in Dallas and won whatever class I was, and it got in the magazine. And so that was really cool. I was like, damn, this is
it was easier than you thought.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it was kind of one of those things too. In the Dallas,
where the producer saw you.
Well, in the Dallas area, there wasn't a lot of fab. There's a lot of Harley dealerships, but not a lot of fab work going on with it. So it's kind of like, man, I kind of got this thing by the balls, man. And
yeah.
And of course, when stuff came out in the magazines. There was no social media then, and I think it was like 98 or something when that went down, and got stuff in the magazines, and then sold that bike right away, built another one, and all of a sudden people want to build bikes, and I was like, man, this is crazy, and then we were at another Easy Rider show a year later, and that's when the producer Hugh King from Original Productions was scouting people at these Harley events, I guess.
Yeah.
And he approached me at the show and said, hey, I'm Hugh King. And I kind of heard, I've heard of his name and everything. And he was doing the Motorcycle Mania with Jesse James and all that stuff. And and then of course he kind of launched Monster Garage and got that stuff going. And anyway, he just said, hey, we want you to be a part of this show. I was like, hell yeah. Okay. That's cool. And we didn't hear anything for a year. I thought he just kind of blew us off. And then he calls up.
TV stuff.
TV. Typical. God.
He called us up and said, hey man, can you start in a week? And I was like, damn. I said, I guess, And so, it was, that's kind of where it just kind of exploded after that. And then, we shot for, 40 days on those deals. And I mean, it was moving pretty quick. We started from scratch and we had to be done in like 35 or 40 days. It was a legit deal. But it was just a cool, Original Productions, Hugh King and Tom Beers. And it was just they were just cool guys and gave me a shot. And I was really fortunate to get on that series, and it just kind of exploded everything. So, I mean, we were busy. I mean, to answer your original question, we were fortunate to be busy because we were kind of the only guys, me and my brother really doing these motorcycles, paint jobs and, minor modifications. And then when that went down, I mean, shit hit the fan, in a good way. So we embraced it and just
rode the wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you learn your fab skills? Because everybody, when we talk, we post mad fabricator, and you are, and they don't highlight everything on the show. Like, for example, the front clip on the first Trans Am. All the fairing, the nose, the whole thing. I was watching, and they skipped over it like bang, bang, it's over. I'm like, no,
that's one of the things that Joe got so upset about that wasn't in the show. Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, I felt the same way. I sat through.
Oh, he was disgusted.
Well, it's funny. And
that was a piece of art.
Lou knows all about this, but I mean, it's kind of one of those deals, you got people to know how to put a TV show together really well, edit it really well, cut it, make it, move fast. But you kind of have to be, to me, unfortunately,
toolbox.
Well, you
got to produce it correctly. Yeah.
If you're not a gearhead and you're putting these shows together, you're not going to know what are the people that's important to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Guys like us, and fortunately, I kind of get to overlook that now. But yeah, at the first part, the first couple seasons, a lot of this stuff was getting overlooked. I'm like, hey man, wait a minute. These are what people are tuning in. They want to kind of learn something.
They want process.
They want to see the process, and we don't want it to be all about drama or goofy stuff and and throwing wrenches. And we want it to be kind of an educational deal.
But where'd you learn it? Where did you pick it up? Where did you start?
I just, I guess I kind of got into the metalworking. I always loved drawing, and I learned to paint when I was a little kid, and I bought some brushes, and a buddy of my uncle's had a body shop, and he said, man, you like drawing, you'd be pretty good with a paintbrush or a striping brush. So he gave me a striping brush. I lettered the old bent up body panels.
But this is when you were how old?
Probably 12 or 13. And then, fast forward a little bit.
That's when you start.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So fast forward a little bit. We, 16, 17, 18 years old, we got into the street racing scene. We go hang out at street races, and all of our friends, we try to fix our cars up and make them a little faster. And there was always, some of the older guys there that were fast on the street. And one guy, Ken Smith, Smith Racecraft, he had a chassis shop building race cars, and I ended up lettering some of his customers' cars, and I just kind of formed a bond with him. And then one day he's like, hey man, bring your car, we'll do some stuff to it. And he just showed me a lot of stuff. And he had a guy named Kevin that worked there, and he just showed me these little things, and it was really cool because they took a little time out and they'd kind of show me a couple things. And like, all right, man, it's your car, you handle it. And so it's kind of they threw me in the fire really, but I mean I loved the metalwork thing, and then I just started acquiring equipment. I bought a little sandbag and some hammers and some little Ron Cavell hammers and some dollies, and tried to figure all that out. I beat out some tanks, and
he's a big Lassie fan too, so he watches a lot of Lassie.
Lassie's good.
Lassie's really good. And the thing about all that's, Lassie's, not to mention his classes, but I mean, he's on YouTube quite a bit. A lot of guys on YouTube, and back then there was no YouTube.
There was exactly.
You know what I mean? And so you're kind of learning all these things. And so I would just try to absorb what I could from these guys, and just try to apply it. And I try to, I bought a TIG welder, and I taught myself how to weld, and look in the magazines. It's like, how the hell are they doing that shit, man? And how they doing this? And looking at Boyd's old stuff, and I'd see all them, all those old timers at Boyd's just, fabbing all this crazy stuff. And it just, it just intrigued me, man. And I mean, I love doing the paint work, but the metal work is really what I loved. And I just picked it up from a few guys, but, I never really took any formal classes or anything. I wish I'd had. I've been a lot, farther along younger, but, I couldn't afford to take classes and do that kind of stuff, man. But, I was still trying to make a living and paint and buy this equipment and try to build a name for myself locally. And that's kind of where it started. It's a small community, the hot rod people, the motorcycle, it's a small community really. And, now it's really cool because, you get on YouTube and see what this guy's doing or that guy. And you never learn enough really. So it's,
you're always learning.
I never feel like I mastered anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we interviewed Gene Winfield, he said every day's a school day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just the truest statement in our world.
He's like 90.
Every day you're learning something. It's a school day. Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, I hope I'm could be old enough to do like Gene, man.
No kidding. No kidding.
We were laughing with Gene because I said, Gene, I don't understand something. You're like 96, 94 years old. He goes, yeah. I said, you got more hair than me, Lou. And he had, I said, how's that working out? Because you're killing me.
Yeah.
He laughed, I'm like, no, seriously, he looks like Harpo Marx.
Yeah.
With the hair.
Oh, man, that guy's something else, man. The guy's an alien, man. I don't know what his deal. He's from outer space, dude.
Crazy. It's all the paint he preserved his body.
Mark just joined. Mark just joined. He's the person, him and his wife, running Southern California Pitbull Rescue.
There you go.
The one who said talk about Jackson Brown, Mark Rulin.
And he said tell him about Orphan Annie. Yeah, Jackson Brown.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have him on.
I'll tell about Jackson Brown real quick. He Joe and I had just gotten back from what was the show we went to in Oklahoma? The
Starbird.
The Daryl Starbird show. And,
I heard that's a good show.
It is
freaking amazing.
Pretty kick ass. Yeah.
Amazing. So we are driving, of course we took a car. So we're driving back, talking to Mark the whole time. And he's sending me these pictures of this dog in LaGrange. And if you've never heard of LaGrange, ZZ Top did a song about LaGrange. So
that's the reason why I know it.
That's right.
I'm not going to worry about it. I know it's in Texas.
So
when you pull into town, the sign says they got a lot of nice girls.
No, I'm going to LaGrange. I'm going to LaGrange just for that.
They got a lot of nice dogs there too, because Mark found he found this dog that was just doing horrible at the LaGrange shelter. He was just shaking and just the loud noises, the other dogs, just he wasn't handling it well. So we literally got home we drove straight through, and I don't know how long that drive was.
Well, you got to Mark networks with rescues all over the country. So
he does. Yeah. And he'll take dogs from all kinds of shelters. So we're in Texas, he's in California. We foster for him. He's got fosters all over the country because he pulls them out of whatever shelters he can. So anyways, he's sending me these pictures of this dog, and I'm like, oh my God, this dog. So we get home, we are exhausted. We don't care. We get in the car and we drive to LaGrange, which is an hour and 20 minutes or something, an hour and a half away. We get to the shelter, and to give props to this shelter, this lady, Teresa, she's like, I don't care what time it is, any day, any night, I will meet you. It was 11:30 p.m. on a Sunday night. And she came up there and met us. We got him, and he was just, he was super scared. Anyways, we put him in the car, and we were going to foster him. And about a week later, I told Joe, I said, there is no way I'm going to have this dog start over with another. This is Jackson with another family, because he was just terrified.
I've never seen a pit bull.
Yeah, you could tell.
So anyways, he's a pit bull, and he is only about 1, and he's a super scaredy dog, but we just love him to pieces. And then this was the first dog that we fostered with Mark. So we kept him. Foster fail.
I've never seen a pit bull like that with brown and white. I've never seen
he's beautiful. Yeah. He's tiny. He's like 35, 40 pounds. He's like a little pocket pitty.
There he is.
There he is.
Just chilling
on his bed.
Yeah.
Got it made.
He's living it up.
He's got it made. That dog's got it made. He knows it. He knows it.
Okay, sorry to derail, but y'all go back to
no,
metal
you're good.
shaping.
You're good. Don't worry about it. I do have a question back to the sheet metal though. I always ask this question for guys like you, because I'm not a sheet metal guy, because I come from the heavy equipment world. So my idea of sheet metal is 1/8-inch plate and up.
Yeah.
So I always ask, when you start doing a tank, do you know in your head what you want? Like, do you have a vision of it? I do. When I do a chassis, I know what it's going to look like before I start.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's, you kind of get a vision in your head, and obviously the tank's kind of the centerpiece of the bike. So I'll fortunately, I like drawing so much, I'll sit and I'll kind of come up with some sketches, and basically it'll start from there. And if it's a simple design, if I'm kind of recreating a Sportster tank or something like that, I don't really necessarily need to make, like a buck or anything like that. I'll just make one side and then make the tunnel, set it on the backbone, mount it, and then just start building the sides up. Or sometimes I'll make a wire form, out of welding rod.
Yeah.
And, make a wire form, and then, make some templates and just try to beat it on the bag and get it close. And then, if it's starting to look like something, I may throw the pieces away if I don't like them. They're come out kind of weird. A lot of stuff ends up in the trash, but yeah, I mean, it's, I'll make a wire form buck and kind of stand back and scale it and look at it and, see if I like it. And that's kind of where it starts. But really with the bike, everything revolves around the tank. So usually I just have a frame there, and I'll just set the motor in, and that's kind of what you start with first, really, is the tank. Everything kind of just it goes from there, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I mean, because you know, that's doing that stuff is you got to have some artistic talent. You know, when you're sitting there shaping metal like that, you have to. I don't possess that, so it's okay.
I could probably get one side to look half right, but I could never duplicate it. That's
the tricky thing is you spend all this time, you know, on a Saturday and you're all proud. You make one side and you're like, damn, man, now I got to make another side. You know, it sucks. That point it kind of sucks. You know what I mean? So
that's a whole nother talent.
But exactly, doing it in reverse and making it not you know, lopsided or something like that. But
I was at a show in New Orleans back in like 2003, I think it was. The Tuttles were there, Indian Larry was there, you were there. I still got the picture.
Oh man,
your bike. So, I mean, no doubt that's you. I mean, you can see your style, the way you know, you drop into the bike, it's low and it just looks badass, you know. But I got a shot. There you go.
Great shot.
Yeah, that's a really good shot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Joe, are you still doing bikes? You still making bikes, or you just focused on cars, or?
Well, you know, we get a lot of people that want to do bikes still, but you know, the car thing keeps it so jammed up, and I would love to do it again, but you know, and obviously the bikes don't pay like they did. You know, obviously we're doing one-off stuff, and then so now you know, we went through that phase where there's, you know, a lot of the bagger stuff going on, and it was all kind of focused around, you know, fiberglass bolt-on stuff or even glue-on stuff. You know what I mean? So I kind of thought, man, it's, you know, people want, you know, they want this bagger stuff. They want it fast. And there's a lot of companies coming out with some, you know, cool looking parts, but they're fiberglass and, you know, you're ready to paint all this crap. And so people aren't so concerned about a handmade fender or handmade tank. And so, you know, I kind of got out of that and thought, man, you know, my real love was, you know, the cars and you know, even though, I mean, the bike thing was great to me, but you know, I love the cars. So I kind of got back to it. And we were kind of doing a lot of, you know, even after the big motorcycle crash, I had so many great customers. We stayed pretty busy, but I thought, you know what I mean? I'm gonna start getting back into some cars and stuff. And then, you know, when the show kicked back or our Iron Resurrection kicked on, you know, it was going to be half bikes and half cars. And then the network was a little worried about, you know, the bikes not rating and stuff. Well, the bikes are dead. We need to do all cars. And so really I've kind of gotten out of the bikes just because I really don't have time to even mess with them. And so I don't know. Hopefully things will turn around. I got a bunch of, you know, I got stockpiles of parts left over from other bikes. I'd love to just, you know, take some time and, you know, build some more bikes, but it'll probably just be my own stuff, really.
Yeah. I want to build a bike for myself. I just want to. I'll probably never be able to ride it after the surgery, but I want to do it anyway. Just because I've always wanted to do that. You know, I've helped guys I've done the welding on guys' bikes when they've built them, but I've never built one myself.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. Yeah, I like the bike thing because, man, it's you know, the satisfaction is quick because when you're on a car 3 or 4 months in, you're kind of like, damn, man, when's this going to be over with? You know, and on a motorcycle, you know, motorcycle goes pretty quick. Yeah. So you get quick results, man, and you know, that's what I kind of miss about it because I've got a short attention span, and when I'm done with one bike, I'm tired of it. I'm ready to do another one. You can't do that with a car. You know what I mean?
No, you can't.
Yeah.
It's a huge project.
Yeah.
Joe,
that's crazy.
Talk about you were in you did pipes for bikes. You had a business where you were doing just the Martin Brothers pipes, and you were doing frames too at the time, right? Is that 90s, same time frame?
So I think it was like 99. I came up with a set of pipes on one of my personal bikes. And I had a lot of my customers like, hey man, can you make a set of those for me? And it's like, damn, I don't know, that there's a pain in the ass to build these things. And I got the idea off of Arlen Ness back in the day, was doing these radius pipes. And then Jesse came out with another style that kind of did the same thing, had this really cool radius look. And so I did these pipes, and I'm telling my brother, I was like, damn, man, I wish we could figure out a way to produce these things in a, you know, somewhat, you know, fast manner.
Right.
And so I got the bright idea to put an ad out in Hot Bike Magazine, and a little 1/4-page ad. And, you know, 2 or 3 months later, the magazine comes out with this ad in there. And dude, the phone, I'm like, what is going on, man? I mean, it's just me and my brother, and I've been working out of my shop at my house, man. And the phone's like, who the hell is calling me, man? What is the deal? I'm checking the answer machine. It's like, what the? And so, dude, I guess the magazine came out on the stand. And I mean, literally, I must have got 50 calls that day. Hey, man, you got those in stock? You know, I'm ready. And I was like, oh, shit, man. Yeah. So I was freaking out. I was telling my brother, I was like, man, we got to figure something out here. And so I was kind of loosely talking to some drag race guys that I knew. And they knew of this guy in Fort Worth that, you know, told me and said, oh, you can buy all these bins from him, and you probably buy the bins pre-bent from him and just make a fixture. And so when this ad came out, you know, I was like, man, so, you know, nobody's going to call me on this. I may get one call a month or something, you know what I mean? And dude, it went crazy, man. So I was like, oh shit, you know, so I met with this guy, and he probably made 200 sets for us. And he's just a quirky dude to deal with. And he was an artsy dude. So he was a pain in the ass to deal with. And so we probably sold 200 sets, and I was like, man, we're hitting on something here, man. We got to figure this out. So, you know, my brother, he's kind of the business minded, you know, guy, and we acquired some equipment. We just started doing them there, made our own fixtures, and we just tried to pump them out the best we can. And then, it just went into outer space. It was crazy because it was just a golden era. You know, if you guys can remember, obviously late 90s, early 2000s, it was just a crazy time for the custom motorcycle thing. So we just happened to just kind of fall into it. And so just over that next couple of years, we tooled up. We got mandrel benders and ring rollers and TIG machines. And next thing you know, we got 3 or 4 dudes working for us, and then 3 or 4 more guys. And then, man, so the pipe thing was just another one of these fluke deals that, you know, like I said, with that ad, I was like, one dude's going to call me a month or some shit, you know, and it just went crazy, man. And so it turned into the kind of the bread and butter. And, you know, it was obviously way more profitable than, you know, building a custom bike for somebody, which was still good. But, you know, in the long run, it was, you know, kind of using our brains instead of, you know, going the long way around the block trying to make money. And
it was working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
That's when the Martin
That's
when the Martin brothers came into existence then, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then the next thing, it comes with the frames, you know. So the frames, you know, I'm kind of doing these one-off frames, or I'd cut up some frames. You know, I'd cut up an old Paco frame, or I'd cut something up, you know, where the geometry was already in place. And then I had a frame table jigged up, and then I would just kind of tweak everything and kind of make my own shapes for these frames. And next thing you know, people want to buy frames. It's like, man. So we did some
another ad.
Well, yeah. And obviously, man, that's way more difficult than building a set of pipes, you know? And so, so we started, just trying to accommodate these one-off frames. It was just impossible, man. And so I actually met with some guys and chassis builders, race cars mainly, and some guys out of Oklahoma, really cool guys. And I took my design to them, and you know, I was dealing with drag specialties and these companies, and they're like, hey man, you know, you got to have a lot of insurance to, you know, have something like a frame to sell. And so we had to carry a bunch of insurance. So we didn't even think of that, you know. And it's like, man, God forbid somebody crashes on your bike, you know what I mean? What would happen? So this dude carried all the insurance and basically started building our frame for us. And then, so that was really cool. So we had that going. And, but still I would, for the, you know, the bikes you'd see on TV and the bikes in the magazines were all just kind of the one-off crazy stuff, you know, stuff would be hard to produce in a mass, you know, production situation. But, yeah, it was good times, man. It was really good times. We just tried to exploit it to the max. We knew come to an end, and it just kept going. And I was like, damn, you know, maybe we can, you know, Arlen Ness started carrying my pipes. That was really crazy when, you know, Ness's guys called, say, hey, we want to carry your stuff in our catalog, man. I was like, wow, that's cool. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. And so, yeah, we were really fortunate, man, just to be in the right, you know, the right time frame, that golden era, man. And we just made the best of it, you know. And then of course the TV stuff, it was just insanity, really.
It lasted a good, what, 10 years, I would say. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, we had a 10-year run, you know, and the 08 crash, you know, and all the 08, 09, when everything kind of petered out, you know, the motorcycle thing kind of took a dive, and I mean, everything took a dive, but dude, I was so fortunate. I had some just really great customers, and they just kept us rolling. And I had to, you know, I had to ramp down some of the guys and some of the production of the parts and stuff. And you know, they weren't selling quite as good when all that crash was hitting. Then I had companies out of China that were knocking off like 3 of my best selling pipes, dude. And they were selling them through these different catalog companies, man. It was just a nightmare. It started, you know, all this crap, you know, dealing with all this stuff. And so, you know, we kind of downsized it, and I'm like, you know what, man, I'm going to chill this out a little bit and kind of make it where it's fun again. But, you know, we were, like I said, man, I was very fortunate to get those gigs and just be in that era, man. And just very fortunate, you know.
How's your brother Jason? I saw he was stuntman. He did some stunt work. Pitches the show.
Yeah, he's doing good, man. He you know, obviously you know, my brother, when we were doing the bike build off, he was kind of in the background helping us, you know, and he was kind of like he liked the behind the scenes thing, really, you know, and so it was, you know, really just me and him. And then I moved out of the Dallas area after the big crash, and we kind of split things up. We didn't really officially split things up. It was just kind of like, you know, everything kind of crashed. You know, we kind of had to downsize and everything. And we just, you know, I eventually moved to Austin, kind of doing my own thing. And then,
but that's when you started wanting to get back into cars.
Well, yeah, I started getting in the cars, but my brother kept in contact with, you know, the producers. He really liked the filming thing. He liked that whole, you know, the aspect of how the TV show went together.
Storytelling, and
stayed in contact with our producer for this show, Rob Kerr. And my brother's like, hey man, you know, we ought to do something else, come up with something, you know, an idea for a show. And Rob worked on the World Biker Build Off with us, and for Beyond Productions. And you know, Rob's just a wild dude. He filmed everything. He did all the audio himself and everything. He kind of basically lived with us for about 45 days when we shot that, and we kind of formed a bond with him. And then, well,
he shot it, he did the sound, and he edited it.
Yeah,
I mean, he was like a one-man band.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. So anyway, we kind of kept in touch with him, and Rob called us one day and said, hey man, this Velocity channel is looking for programming, and maybe we should put something together. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. And then, so him and my brother kind of stayed on his ass, and my brother's like, hey man, we should do this. You know, we had good luck with the bike build off. Let's try it out. And so my brother and a buddy of his, Brian Wise, who was the stunt guy he's a stunt coordinator for all these big major movies, and just a really cool guy. And him and my brother were pretty tight. So they came down and shot like a teaser.
Yeah.
And presented it to Rob, and then Rob took it and kind of tweaked it, and then he presented it to some of the, you know, the people he knew there, and they were like, hey man, this is kind of cool. So they gave him, you know, officially gave him some money to put a real teaser together, you know, and so that's kind of where that started. And so my brother was, you know, my brother really kind of started this whole deal up, you know what
Joe's
I mean?
oversimplifying it too. This was like you know, nothing moves fast with TV. So this was like Jason pitching this idea for, oh gosh, years, like 5 years, 6 years, you know, it started.
Well, yeah, different ideas. He had different ideas.
Velocity wasn't even around at that time. They were trying to figure out where do they put, where would it live? You know, what's the right place? And then when Velocity came along, it was like, boom, that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, man, it was.
I hold on 1 second. I got to say something. John, did you see that popcorn chimed in? Did you see that?
Pop Tart. Yeah, he was on the show last week. He didn't interrupt you guys. Lou does that.
So I had to say. Well,
sounds like somebody Pump would like.
what happened was Brent, I did muscle car with him. He was the guy who didn't talk. So when I did the intro, I said Pop-Tarts with him, and then I said what else?
Pork chop. He called him pork chop.
And then I called him pork chop. So the whole show it's pop something. It's popcorn, pop shop, whatever. So when I just saw it, like, oh, Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart.
It's just one of those things. So anyway, back to the story, Joe. Back to the story. Sorry to interrupt you.
So TV, you had your shop in Austin, which was probably fairly new, right? Because at the beginning of the show, you guys were putting the truck out front, doing the lettering on the truck, the sign and stuff. So it's probably transitioned about that same time, right? So how do you guys? I mean, I know we had Shorty on. We know some of the stuff, but not everybody watches every podcast. And of course, we had about 6 people ask what happened to Shorty. Why did he leave? But how do you come in contact with Shorty, Shag, Mike? I mean, you put together your crew, which is small, but you guys do amazing things. How'd that all come about?
Well, I've known Shorty since, I don't know, probably early 90s, 90 or 91 or something. And we're kind of all from the same neighborhood, really. And so we, as time went on, I would do some things, like painting the bikes and that kind of thing like that. And Shorty would come over and help, mold the frames and do some of the paint work. And we built a bike for Shorty, or 2 or 3 bikes actually. And so, those guys just hung around the shop a lot, and they were, it's basically just like a band of brothers, really.
You and Shorty collaborated a lot, though.
So me and Shorty, we had a lot of we like the same stuff, man, and like wild colors and all this stuff, and low riders and all this kind of stuff, and so and I was told Shorty, I said, man, Shorty had a little shop in Oak Cliff, South Dallas area, and he just was a killer body, man, great painter, and I was like, man, Shorty, you gotta think bigger, man. He had this old 62 Impala, and it's like, dude, we gotta finish this thing up. He's working on it 4, 5, 6 years or something. It's like, man, you gotta take this thing to show. And, oh yeah, Jose, yeah, man, we'll get to it. And then and I was like, man, you got to get out there, and because he was just doing OEM touch-ups on fenders and doors and stuff like that. So it's kind of a wasted talent, really. Yeah. And so my idea was, we got to bring Shorty out and get him to some of these shows and show his talent, and so when the show came along, I had Mike hanging out too. Mike just kind of hung around. Him and his brother had a construction company, and Mike would come out, hang out after hours, and so we would just, all these guys, we'd hang out and work on our bikes together, and everybody congregate at my shop, and we'd fab each other's stuff up, and Shorty'd paint this, and we had guys that were doing seats for us and all this kind of stuff, and I mean, we just.
But when we moved to Austin, when all this kind of hit, we didn't have anyone really local that we could fall on for body work, paint work, so he had been talking about the show with Shorty, and he's like, man, I know we're 3-4 hours away from you, because he's in Dallas. Yeah. Would you be interested in coming down and helping us, get the show going, and being our body and paint guy, and he was in. Yeah, and so a few years after we moved from Dallas, the show didn't even get cracking until like 3 or 4 years later, and so Shorty would make the drive, come down, and when the show finally kicked in, we just thought, man, this is going to go a year, this is. Yeah, these people aren't gonna like this shit, man. We didn't even know if we'd get a year. We got 6 episodes, okay, and we were like, okay, well, let's just see what happens. Yeah. We don't know.
So I mean, after the end of that season, man, the show it
took off.
It really took off, man.
Yeah, I heard that it was like you were airing show 2, and Velocity said it's working. Get them back. Start. Which is really a good sign, because I've seen where they wait like months after they run the first 6.
Oh wow, yeah,
yeah. So it definitely worked.
Yeah. It yeah, you know, we were just being ourselves, really, man. We didn't really want to.
We're not actors.
We didn't want to. Yeah, we didn't want to play up any kind of dramatic crap. And I was like, man, I don't want to be a part of this crap. I want it to be kind of funny. I want it to be educational. I want it to just be us, you know. And so, you know, we just, you know, just
rolled with it.
Just kind of rolled with it, and of course, you know, yeah. And so my shop, when we got the green light on that deal, that main shop you guys see us in, that thing wasn't even finished. I had it going. I was working out of a shop.
It was a shell. It was a shell. That's it.
It was crazy. They're like, okay, when can you start, man? I was like, well, damn, I guess we better finish our building, you know?
Well, yeah, because he was working at a shop out of our house. And so we were just kind of, you know, we weren't in a hurry to get the other shop going. You know, we were kind of paying cash as we go and just, you know, what we could. And then they're like, hey, we're going to start shooting in I don't know, 3 weeks or whatever it was. And that we were like, oh my gosh. So we hurried up and did all that.
Typical TV.
Yeah.
Typical TV. Yeah.
Typical TV, man. Yeah.
But Mike, we were lucky enough. Mike moved down here when we moved down here.
Yeah.
So he followed Joe, and he had given up, you know, he had kind of retired from his concrete business, and he spent so much time helping Joe with the bike stuff. He was picking up all kinds of crazy skills. And so he moved down here. And so really it was you and Mike for like, I don't know, the first few years that we were here in the Austin area, working out of our shop at our house. And then when the show hit, we started kind of, you know, rounding people up.
More people. Yeah. And so
Mike started doing fab work and doing the things he's doing now just a short time before the show came about and actually went into production. He was doing concrete. I mean, he must be a hell of a craftsman to pick up.
Well, I mean, he was with you in Dallas.
Well, yeah, when we were in Dallas, you know, he hung out there quite a few years before. And so he would, you know, I'd show him some things, and he loved the welding, and he'd pick that stuff up. And
okay, so he's really sharp, though. I mean, he is.
Oh, super, yeah, that's what I was getting at. You can't make that transition unless you're a real craftsman. And he probably was bored with construction because it's all four walls. Let's go put windows in. We're done.
Right. Yeah.
There's no. He's probably deep down inside an artist. That's why he was gravitating towards you.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And he's just got a great engineering kind of mindset all the time, you know. And so he's you know, he's
that's a good team. It definitely is a good team.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
How'd the ugly guy Shag come into play? How'd that happen?
Well,
Shag
was
he's looking like he heard.
He is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's probably.
I'm sure he's listening.
That's right. I'll probably get a text.
Shag,
text him.
Yeah. I've known Shag quite a while when we were Martin Brothers in Dallas, you know, in early mid 2000s. Shag worked for Red Bull. He was one of their marketing guys, and he would bring my brother and I into some events and stuff. We'd take bikes to these events, and so he was, you know, he's just a good promotional guy. And when the show was getting put together, the network was kind of like, hey, you know what? Here's the deal. We're taking overhauling off the show or off the network. I guess network, you know, thought overhauling was too expensive. To me, I thought that was kind of a mistake. It's like, damn, it's a killer show. You know, why did you take that show off? But so I think their idea was they wanted this template where they wanted, you know, the fabrication aspect of it, and they wanted the female element in there, and they wanted like a front man guy. And I'm like, well, man, this guy Shag, he's definitely a front, you know.
Yeah.
Shag could.
He's a great host.
He could. I mean, that guy could have his own game show.
Yeah.
Man, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he was doing a lot of that stuff for us anyway. And so we thought, man, you know, he lived in our area. He lived close to us, and so that's kind of where that came about. It was just kind of this whole.
Yeah, he was already in Austin.
Yeah,
he came here before we have.
It was just this hodgepodge of characters. We thought, well, man, we'll just throw this together and see if it sticks. You know what I mean? And but really, you know, the rest of us we all worked together anyway. So it's kind of, you know, it was a natural thing, really. And so
and then Pampa loves to just come hang out. So he's you could not have him in the show. He's just a funny dude. I mean, he loves to make people laugh. You'll never not see him smiling. He just loves
the Pampa's. He's just a crazy character, man. He would always come hang out in my shop all the time, and I was like, damn, we got to put pom-poms.
He just keeps Joe laughing all day.
You know, he would just hang out. Yeah, he would just hang out in my shop all the time when he wasn't, you know, at his job. He had a night job. He'd come and hang out in the shop all day long. And I mean, that dude is a character, man.
You guys started with the one building. Have you added on? I saw something, I think, where Mandy.
Oh man,
what's going on now?
So we we're really primarily in that first building still, the main, we call it the main shop. But what happened is about 6 months after we were in that shop, we had a buddy of Joe's, Keith Tardell, who owns Rex Rods. He came to us and said, hey, you know, you got 4,000 square feet I can rent? And we're like, no, but we can build you a building. And because we have 5 acres out there. So we built him a building, and he's been there ever since. And then the next thing we did was build Cato a building, because Cato was kind of sharing space with the middle. Yeah. So then when he left, the next interior guy just stepped right into his space. And then we had, so that was building number 3. And then building number 4, we had another interior guy that was doing work there. And we kind of split that building with him.
So we needed a finish out shop. Yeah. It was interior, and then the finish out where we're not grinding and stuff over there.
Yeah, right.
And,
so it's kind of a split thing. But then we have a new paint and body guy, Tommy, who's an amazing guy. And he moved from Houston, and he used to live in Austin. And so we just built him a building, a 3,000 square foot building for just his paint and body shop. So he's a tenant on the property. He pays us rent, but we use him exclusively for paint and body. And then we have the last building that we just finished is for a customer of Pete's, actually. And he needed a space for his car collection.
Yeah. Just super cool.
What's your waiting list look like now? What's your waiting list look like now?
5 years.
Yeah, we're about.
That's got to
I guess it's good. I mean, it's definitely a good thing. It's just, you know, it's obviously we get a lot of customers that don't want to wait that long, and then they're like, hey, you know anybody else we can go to? And so, I mean, it's you know, the car thing is so strong right now. You know, hopefully it's not a big bubble, but it seems like a bubble. But
I think it got stronger in COVID.
It really did. It got stronger in COVID.
It did. Yeah, people had a bucket list. They got tired of going, one day, and they decided,
exactly right.
I'm going to knock it off my list and buy what I want, get it built.
That's it. And it's insane. We probably get 150, 200 emails a day, people wanting to either buy a car, sell a car, build a car. It's just crazy, man, right now. Especially, you think with what's going on with all these crazy times, that the economy would be kind of weak, but man, it's insane, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And we can't keep up with it, but we've kind of amassed this really great
group of
customers, man, that obviously they're very well financially, set, and they understand the car thing, and they
like the same cars you like, and they have a long list of them to be built.
We got a handful of customers that, we got 2 customers in there, and there's 3 cars each in there right now, and just great people, and they understand the car thing, and they understand that this little bracket may, cost 10 hours to build, you know what I mean? And then just things like that, man. And so that's really where we're fortunate. And then obviously the TV's help is just we've just acquired this really great customer base that would normally take years and years to acquire, man. And we've been very fortunate with that. And
it's a little hard for Joe, because he's from the school of, since he was 17 or 18, he's been handing his card out and trying to drum up business. And, from when you're a young man. And so for decades, and as he's gone into, or the pipes or the bikes or the what. And so sometimes it's hard when he walks through the office and somebody's in there that wants to do a new build.
Yeah.
And Joe's like, he's in that mindset where he's like, he doesn't really want to turn business away. He wants to build a car for everyone. And it's just, we just only have about 7 guys, and it's just not possible. And then the other thing is, I don't want to say the company name, but like just today, our parts guy, Nick, said, Amanda, I've had these brake parts on order for since last July, and I called them to check it up today. And they said they're $8 million behind brake parts. They're waiting on, and I'm like, what? I mean, and then you're doing a TV show, and it's a little tricky. But it's just, everyone we know, every vendor we know is having the year of their life. And this has been the last 2 years. Like every year it's better. And literally it started when COVID hit.
Yeah.
Well,
look, guys.
Yeah, I got 2 more questions before I let you roll.
We don't have, it's not like
they don't have time. We're already in an hour.
It's okay.
And I said I'm going to get them out of here. So if you want to stay, that's on you.
We just wanted to give a guideline of the time. It's okay if it goes a few minutes.
Hey, I'm just telling you, I don't want mom mad at me. I'm just telling you.
Man.
What advice would you give somebody? What advice would you give somebody? What advice would you give somebody following behind you? Because you and Paul Jr. talk Arlen Ness. There were influences. You watch their stuff. There's people doing the same to you, both in bikes and the car arena. There's a 20-year-old kid out there right now that's begging for a TIG welder. What advice do you have for a young dude?
Get one.
What would you do differently, Joe?
Yeah, I mean,
what would you do differently?
I would probably wouldn't have been so shy about trying to approach people that I respected. I knew did some really cool stuff, or maybe tried to go approach Arlen Ness, back in my mid-20s, early 20s, say, hey, Arlen, how do you do this? And get, what I mean? I was just shy. I never went to ask advice or anything. And I feel like I would, go the long way around the block, learning how to do everything and figuring out this business. And I just, I think you need to just acquire as much information. Don't be, you get a lot of guys that think they're really good at something and they're arrogant. They don't think they need to learn anymore, or they think they're really good, and with, with that mindset, you think you're that great, you're just not going to be that great. There's going to be some kid that's going to come up and, fly past you talent wise. My advice would be just, do it because you love to do it. And, take, when you're really proud of that thing, take it to some shows, try to get some customers and exploit that the best you can. And if you can make a living doing what you really, love doing, it'll eventually pay off, man. But it's, it's hard work. You're dealing with customers and you're dealing with, learning curves and messing crap up and constantly doubting yourself. But
today there's so many more resources than there were back in the day. I mean, you can literally get online and, not learn how to do it in an expert way, but you can see the method, you can see what they're doing. They can walk you through it, and so it's just, I mean, and then you got people like our shop manager, Chad, he's going to start doing metal classes. And so you can go take advantage of stuff like that. I mean, that kind of stuff is just, it's really just come on in the last 10 or 15 years. I don't know. I mean, to where you could actually go to a class live in person with an expert in the field and actually get hands-on training with a small class of 5, 6, 7 people. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, it's just like K-Dub, our guy K-Dub there at the shop, man. He started with us probably 4 years ago or something. And he was just a body shop helper. And he's just a shy guy. And we talked him into coming to work with us. And K-Dubs now he's one of the top fab guys, and it's just amazing the amount of stuff he's learned in his welding skills and fabrication and but
he loves it.
He loves it, and so
that's
it's just
the thing.
That's the thing, yeah. And I've known guys that have been in the business for 40-something years that can't do what he can do. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just, you have that desire and you got that hunger to keep wanting to learn. And if you're not, you're not so arrogant where you think, I don't need to learn that, or, I'm not
There's not really a shortcut. You got to do the work.
You got to do it. Yeah.
You got to do it, man. And then now we just amassed some really great guys too. And we got Chad now. Chad ran the Roadster shop for about 18 years, the fab department.
Oh yeah.
Chad's a killer fabricator and
now our shop manager.
Yeah, I made him a shop manager now, and he kind of oversees all the quality control, everything. And it's just so cool to you know, when you get the ball rolling, you kind of well-oiled machine now, you know, and then on top of having a TV show throws a wrench in that, and you know, makes that difficult. But you know, it's taken so long, but we're finally honing in our crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and really starting to kind of, you know, like I said, a well-oiled machine, and you know, I think if the especially when the TV's done and gone, I think we'll, you know, really be able to concentrate and do some really cool things. But it's been fun. We've been very fortunate to have the gig, and then, you know, the TV show's at the top of its game right now, man. It's just
thanks to the viewers.
Yeah,
I mean, thank God.
Thanks to all the viewers, and it's each year it's just, you know, I think season 4 and 5 of the ratings were really killer, and we're like, man, I don't know if we want to keep going. It's a pain in the ass.
We're tired.
As Lou, you know, Lou knows how this goes, man, and it's just, man, it just wears you out. But you know, when you go to SEMA and you meet all the cool people you get to meet because of it, man, it just kind of keeps you in it and keeps you hungry, and just the great people you meet and the customers we've been, you know, we've met, man. It's been a really good ride, man. And it's fortunately people are still digging it.
Yeah.
And
is there a season 7? You get approved for 7 yet?
Well, we're still working on 6. So we started 6 a little late. So
we started shooting November 2nd. And so we'll go until late September, early October.
Yeah. Late. Yeah. So each year we're like, damn, this is, man, we're done with this. This is a pain in the ass. You know,
every year we think we're finished, and then we take about 6 weeks off, and we're like, okay, we're ready.
Yeah. So, you know, and you know how the network is. They don't really say, you know, they act like, you know, the ratings were okay, and then
right.
And
then we find out otherwise. You know,
then
we find out that it's a really, you know, well-received show, and we're just
it's so 1 or 2 at the top of the list. They're trying to act like you're down at like 6 or 8 here. Bullshit.
Yeah.
You guys in
but either way,
you guys are at the top too.
Oh, thanks.
For real.
Even if we didn't continue with season 7, and we don't know, it's all ratings based. If we don't get great ratings, we won't be back for season 7, and that's life. But we're going to try to start doing a YouTube channel, and we're going to kick off something else on Patreon, which is going to be another really cool thing where it's not Iron Resurrection. It's kind of, you know,
like a how-to kind of thing.
It is. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of things, but
we may do a tank or something. We may do like a firewall. We may do this.
But it could evolve into all things Joe Martin too. I mean, there's just so many things that are beyond building cars that the people that are watching our show are going to be interested in as well.
Yeah.
Right.
It'd just be way easier than a regular TV schedule.
We'd be in control.
There you go.
Lou and I talked about that. I was talking to Shag. We talked about doing and we're in the midst of it, a streaming service for automotive that actually, hate to say it, competes with Motor Trend. But the thing is, the guys that are involved actually know what they're looking at, and own a toolbox, like you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know what people want to see. Where I feel like Velocity, I've talked to David Lee, I talked to some of the other people. Nothing really against them, but you could tell they're fixing things with a butter knife. They don't have a screwdriver at their house. They're calling a guy to do it. So they technically don't know what you're doing. They know your character, they see the ratings, but they don't know what's cool. So we're in the midst. I got to tell you, when TV's over, when you're done with Motor Trend, let's talk. I already talked to Shag about next steps. What happens? It's going to be 0 to 60 is the streaming service, and it's going to be that same type of thing. And I'll talk to you guys about it.
We'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
I talked to Rawlings about it. We had Paul Jr. on, and me, Rawlings, and I even hit up Jr. and said, you know, another biker build-off live where we actually control it, not all the bullshit. And be able to put it
how cool would that be?
Yeah. Jesse James, I'm not sure about Rawlings anymore because the talent's not there. But, you know, I get the old crews together and go, okay, it's winner takes all. Yeah. And do it again and bring that back. You know, bring the fabrication part forward.
Right. Yeah.
Well, so I wanted to address a few things that I saw on here and some comments, and some people said, you know, we'd really love to see more process, and can they just make them 2-part episodes? So this season 6, they actually are, they're all 5 cars are 2-part episodes, and we're really, really trying as much as we can to push more process into the episodes to give the viewers what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I was on the phone with David Lee, and we were talking about your show. I said it's definitely killer.
Ours?
And we were talking about the Merc. This is when you guys were still shooting the Merc, that was still in the process.
That was season 3. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, I said, listen, not for nothing, but the Merc has a cult following. There's certain cars that no matter what, you chop the top, there's guys that are tuning in. That's one of them. And I could tell talking to them, they were like, they didn't even, they were like, Merc, you talking Mercedes? They didn't know what the hell. It was Sean Akbar and David Lee. And they weren't sure what I was saying. But I said, listen, that should be the finale, and it should be a 2-part series. And damned if it didn't come out to be a 2-part. And I think it was the last.
Yeah.
It had to, because it was so long-winded.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? I could tell talking to them on speakerphone, they were like, hey, what? What? And I'm like, you have no idea what car Joe's actually building. You don't know what you're looking at. And it's actually, it's discouraging, really.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not, you have to join me. You know what I'm saying? But they don't know what has that true classic cult, following, where no matter what, somebody's going to go. There's a group of guys that focus on that car. And America is one of them.
It's because they're not car guys. They're not. It's just,
well, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
they're not. And so I always.
Right. Exactly.
I always tell people that come into the shop, they always say, well, gosh, how long does it really take you to build a car? And I always say, okay. Think about this. Each episode is 44 minutes, and we have around 3,000 hours in each car. So you're missing a lot. You're missing a ton, but they can only fit so much in. And then you hear people, I've heard the production people before say, if I see one more firewall, 1 more hour of firewall work or 1 more, I'm just like, what? That's what we're we're shooting a car show. This is what people want.
Yeah, how many guys are trying to figure out how to put that together and make it look good? I mean, there's you're saying, and it's a fabrication part. When you can take a piece of sheet metal and make something out of it, most people are at a keyboard all day, and they're not actually producing anything. So when they watch you guys produce something from zero, it makes them feel like they're part of that process. And when you have guys that want they say to themselves, I'd like to build with that crew, because I hear it all the time about Lou. I'd like to build something with Lou. Lou seems like, he's a nice guy to be in the shop with. It's the same thing here. When you're in depth, you get involved going, man, I'd like to be standing there talking and learning those things. And that's what that show brings. Your show brings that out without a doubt. And it inspires people. That's the whole thing.
I've said this before, and to me, it just makes sense. When I got into TV, I realized that every day a kid wakes up and wants to change the intake manifold on his car. There's some kid that wants to change it. You know what I mean? They want to do something on their car, and they either don't have a male role figure in their life, or their male role figure just doesn't do cars. You know what I mean? Because I'm the only car guy in my family. I'm the only one. So, and so my dad was an iron worker. So it's not that he didn't do hands-on work. The only reason why he had a car was to get to work. He didn't care about doing anything trick to it. He just needed to make sure it could get to work. So when you teach, especially now when you're teaching something on TV or the internet, people are going to follow you. And that's the thing that I've learned throughout this whole TV experience. And I started applying it to YouTube because I have more control. And that's the thing that's going to make you more successful, because you're teaching these guys what they want to know. You know what I mean? It's just that simple. I had in 2004, I was at the Detroit Autorama, and this guy came up to me and he was complaining about this Mustang that me and Brent backhalved. We built the rails, we put in the four-link, we did everything. And this guy said, man, that car didn't need it. That was stupid. And I said, look, dude, how many Fox body Mustangs are there out there in the country? Like 8 million? And he goes, something like that. I said, well, I didn't build that car for you. There's a guy with a Fox body Mustang who wants to back half his car. That's who I did the show for. I didn't do it for you. Yeah. And he just looked at me kind of baffled. He goes, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't know the emails. We get the same kind of feedback from time to time from people like, why did they do this? Or, whoa, that car was perfect the way it was. And it's like, well, Joe's an artist and he has a desire to fulfill an artistic mindset with this car and how he kind of thinks it should have been built from the factory. And it's okay because everybody doesn't have to think the same way.
Exactly.
Yeah. But listen, there's that old saying that says nobody knows the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to make everybody happy.
That is so true.
You won't get shit done if you try to make everybody happy.
Yep.
Do your thing. You guys are doing a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Love the show. Tell Shag that we said hello. I know you're still the Shorty. We're going to talk to him. Lou's going to give him a buzz. Catch up. Yep. But we appreciate you guys coming on. We don't want Mom to starve to death.
Yeah, we're running away. If you guys want to come back on, you can come back on, but we're running away now. We're 17 minutes over. That's it.
Yeah, you guys should come back after you're done shooting in the fall. Come back on in the fall when you got the finale coming on.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We would love to. We don't have the dates yet. We're always the last to know when programming decides to put the show on, but it will be fall of 2022. So we'd love to come back.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'd love to come back, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Hopefully you had a good time. We'll talk to you.
Yeah, looking forward to it, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See
you guys later. So there you have it, John. We're 17 minutes over.
Next week, Mike Finnegan from Roadkill.
Going fast with Finnegan. Finnegan, I mean, and also Roadkill. That's who we have next week.
That's going to be a good show, too.
That should be a great show. And there was a guy, Salmo Salazar, in Newfoundland. If you're still there, I'm trying to get Fitzy's. He's in Conception Bay. That's all I know. If I know you Newfies, you can find him. Do me a favor, have him reach out to me. Thanks a lot, John. Great show. Anything else you got?
Money's on the dresser. I'm done with you.
All right, everybody, have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, Mike Finnegan from Fast with Finnegan and Roadkill. Till then, later.